and we're here to celebrating Women's History Month of 2024 with a group of women who have not only made but are continuing to make history.
But I want to begin by saying to God be the glory for everything. And I'm really pleased to be here today with my sister and my Christian sisters and to be here at this church. But this is what I say to everyone. I'm the oldest of 9 children, and I was born and bred in Harlem, and I know who Jesus is.
All right.
And we've been blessed to be a part of the village of Harlem. I'm a mom, a wife, and I have a daughter and a son, and I have grandchildren, 5 grandchildren. And I'm a real church lady.
Okay.
I love church.
Amen.
And we need the church. We need the churches
Okay.
to uphold our community, uphold God, our community, our young people, and to know what our mission is here on earth.
All right.
And we're here for each other. My first job was, but I know like during the summers, before we even had a job, we used to have summer jobs in the community. And my first job after going, I went away to school, to Grand Rapids, Michigan. And that was our church school. It was a Christian school, Calvin College in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And so my first job was teaching. And I practiced taught. I was there and graduated from Calvin College. Came back to New York City. And my first teaching job was on 128th Street and Lexington Avenue, PS 3031. So that was my first teaching job. And I was the African Arts Hispanic coordinator. That's how it started out. And later on, I left the school, came back after having been removed because when they were when I left, they wanted more black teachers down in
District 2.
2, and they needed more of those teachers coming in. So I was moved to District 2, PS 111, where I was for a lot of years.
Okay.
Like the first school, I was at 3 different schools before I ended up at the last school. And they had there were no black teachers there.
Yeah.
And I started out, let's see, where did I go? First I was on at 116, and then I went to 183.
Okay.
And then I went to 111.
Okay.
That's where I ended.
And where was 111?
That's on, what's street am I? 53rd Street.
Okay.
53rd
Yeah.
Street.
Yeah.
Good schools.
Right. Absolutely.
There.
Because Ella Baker is on 65th, I think, between like 2nd and 1st Avenue.
I always wanted to be a teacher.
Michelle.
I always wanted to be a teacher. And one of my claims to fame is I taught my father how to read.
Oh.
When I was in the 8th grade, my father became deacon of the church, and he had gone to school and gotten a 6th grade education. And he had to read the Bible and write, the checks and everything. And he was he always had like 3 jobs working, very hard-working person. One of the smartest people that I've ever worked with, quick, fast, and serious. And he really pushed education for all of us. I was the oldest, and I remember sitting with my father and helping him read the Bible. I remember his favorite psalm was Psalm 14, the fool has said in his heart, there's no God, they are corrupt. I remember that from him reading. And in no time, he was reading the Bible, doing all of that. He learned very quick. And he was a humbled man because, you know, he wasn't too proud to have me do that. I was
Okay.
always a good student, loved school. I used to make my brothers and sisters play school. I was the oldest, so I would hit them if they didn't listen. When I see young people, when I say young people, when I see young people striving and working hard to make their world a better place. And I say this because a lot of our young people now have gone into gadgets. But when I see them functioning and speaking up and going about trying to be who they are and to, you know, and to helping, that makes me smile.
I was born and bred here in New York. I was born on 123rd Street.
Okay.
And at 7 years old, moved around the corner here. At that time, this was a church called
Mid-Harlem.
Mid-Harlem Community Parish. I was 7 years old. My father was the well, let me just back up. At that time, it was a pastor here called Reverend Eugene Callender. He heard about the Rowe family. It was 9 of us. At that time, it was 7 of us living in one room on 123rd. He was affiliated with the Christian Reformed Church, out in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And he told him about this family he heard about that really needed some space. At that time, they were building this building for families, not only for the church, but families, period. And the families that came from Michigan to live here. And so the ones that lived in the building was everybody that created this play street, and we had recreation. They built the building for recreation for the youth, to be able to get off the street, to come out the street. At that time, when they built it, he talked about the Rowe family that had 7 kids that sleeping in one room. And when they built it, we ended up here. My father was the super of the building and of the church. And so we moved, we didn't even know how to act because we moved into 7 rooms. Yes, we did. We all still were sleeping with each other in that one room. And this is where we from, 122nd Street. And being here 122nd Street, my mother earned the right and made history. And they put her name on the street. If you notice, Hermina Rose Street is out there.
Okay.
And she was a community activist. Well, my first job was summer youth with Mr. Rose. I'll never forget. I think you were probably in that equation too with all of us. Remember Mr. Rose on 125th Street? That was our first summer youth job at 14 when we turned 14. And I used to work in a restaurant. A waitress. I was a waitress. Then as time moved on, my jobs, I was a barmaid. I was a singing barmaid right over here at Shalimar by Randolph.
I remember that.
Okay?
I remember Shalimar.
And New York Bell. I started working for them. Then AT&T came into place. I was working for AT&T for many years. So one day, I got tired of working for AT&T because they were very cruel, and that's when I knew that I was a leader. Really, that's what knew, because when I mean a leader, I mean that's when I knew I could not take a lot of orders from people that didn't know how to give them. And one day they told me that I could not. Yeah, this is real, and people go through this stuff. So one day I needed to go to the bathroom, and when you work for the phone company, at that time I was an operator, you have to put your key down so the light could go up. I kept my key down. Anyway, I never got called. And the supervisor was very cruel. And I got up, I said, you don't tell me when I could go to no bathroom. And anybody that tell me when I could go to the bathroom, I don't need to be here. I said, I am leaving, I'm not coming back. Now, I was making good money. I came home and I told Bill, I said, I quit. At that time, he was working for Verizon and I was working for AT&T. I said, I quit. He said, are you crazy? What you gonna do? I said, I'm not gonna be at no phone company, I'm gonna do something. So my life is, I did something. I volunteered my services, and that for Parks Department. I would go around and volunteer singing. I just did singing. I went into a lot of singing. That's what I did, and got recognized.
Following your passion,
That's right.
your talent.
That's right. That's what I did. And I was singing and start working with seniors. And when somebody recognized me from the Parks Department and said, you need to be with the Parks Department. And that became my life and my strength, because God wanted me there, and he showed me the right path. But my real dream job was, I never imagined that I would be working with seniors. That was my claim to fame, because it was music. I never thought I would be teaching the seniors music, but then, like I used to tell them, I'm not teaching them, I'm only enhancing and bringing out what they already have, the vocals. Because they could teach, they taught me the songs. I'm just bringing out what y'all let get rusty, and that's what I was bringing out.
I got married in this church, had my children in this church, and I've been here ever since we got started. I was
Right.
born in Murfreesboro, North Carolina.
Okay.
I was born there in, forgot my,
Yeah, I know what you
That's
mean.
all right.
I was born 1936,
Okay.
and my education was in Murfreesboro,
Okay.
North Carolina. But I finished high school in Murfreesboro. Well, it was Winton, the place that I went to school and graduated. And then I got my report card and headed to New York.
Okay.
And been here ever since.
Okay.
I was tired of picking the cotton, shaking peanuts, and I said, I want to get off the farm. See, I was raised on a farm.
I love it.
My first job was home with the babies.
Oh, you sound like my mother.
I didn't get a job until all of my kids got in school, let me say it that way. And then I got a job at Harlem Hospital.
Okay.
I can't think of the name of the program, but I went to work for Harlem Hospital, and what happened is that Harlem Hospital, they put us in Harlem Hospital. We were out of the, I can't get it. We were had a, let me see, they were getting people together to work for Harlem. I got a job, let's see, another girl got a job. It was 4 of us got jobs in Harlem Hospital.
Okay.
And we were told it was only going to be for 2 years. I think it was 2 years. and we wound up staying at Harlem Hospital for more than 13 years. I didn't have a dream job. My job was staying home with them babies. But what happened is that, take it to Jackie, I sang in the choir in this church back in the day. From Carolyn's husband was in charge of the choir. I sang with the choir for many years until I decided I was going to quit that singing with the choir and usher with their brother. I said I'm gonna take the job to being an usher in the church. So and I stayed here as an usher for what brother died a few years later after I took over. Brother died. And then I was an usher for many years until I got sick. I had a stroke and I didn't know that I had it and did whatever, but I didn't ever come back to usher again in church. I miss it. But I still love to come to this church. When I go to church, it's this church. I don't go to other church but this one.
Okay.
For service and now that I was sick with something else, but anyway, I'm getting better and I tell my daughter wants to know, are you going to church today? Yes, I am. So just get ready and she have to help me.
Right.
So she helped me get dressed and the young lady that came with her to bring me, if my daughter can't bring me, she bring me. Now this young lady came today to come to my house to get me to bring me here from work.
Okay.
So I can depend on her to make sure I get
nice.
here.
That's good.
So I'm very happy about that because I just love to come to church. I love church.
Now, they're
And so-
talking about my husband as the music, with the singing, but he graduated from Fisk University
yes.
with the Jubilee Singer.
Oh, okay.
And then he went to Yale, where he graduated with a master's in music. So
Praise. Then in September when you went back to school, my daddy would let me go to school the first day. And from then on, we had to stay home and do the farming, whatever had to be done for 2.5 months.
Okay.
But then when we finished that, we could go back to school
Wow.
and do what you had to do. And then whatever was left on the farm that had to be done, like putting in tobacco and grading tobacco and all that stuff, we were able to go to school, come home from school, change your clothes, and then go to work.
Okay.
So that was that's why I was so happy that when I graduated, that I got my diploma and headed to New York.
So you grew tobacco on your farm?
Yeah, we had to take in tobacco, put it in the tobacco barn, but I didn't do that. My sister did that, and put the heat on it, let it do whatever had to be done. Take it down. I didn't have to do that, and my sister had to do that, and we would put it in the barn and another barn, and then you had to grade tobacco,
Wow.
and then you would fix it and then take it to a place to sell the tobacco.
What makes you smile?
Excuse me?
What makes you smile?
Anything? I smile a lot.
Yeah, I guess it's a laugh, but she's a
I
smile.
don't mind smiling. And people saying things, and I just, especially Miss Moses, we talk a lot. And some things that she says that I can smile at it, or speak of it myself and smile at it. So I'm just a smiling person.
I was born in Kinston, North Carolina.
Okay.
After graduating from high school, I came here to live with my uncle. I married my what gets one, high school sweetheart.
Aw.
And I've been here ever since. I've lived in different places in Manhattan for over 50 years now, though I've been living in the Bronx. I have 2 children, had 10 grandchildren, 5 great-grands.
Wow.
And we came to this church because my husband happened to walk by here one Sunday evening when they were having service with a friend, and he decided this is where we were going to go. And we have been here ever since. The children don't come that often anymore. But it's, there. I don't know, when I tell people I belong to this church, you know, they sort of just have disdain. Oh, that's a small church. That's not really a church.
That's
But
right.
they don't know the feeling
Yes.
that being a part of this church can impart to you. And it's hard to explain. This is just my family, this is my church, and I've been involved in quite a few things here, and I intend to be here, hopefully, till the end. I am a registered nurse. I have been retired for over 20 years. After retirement, I have been doing a lot of volunteer work. I am a member of the New York Black Nurses Association, former president, and through that venue, I have been able to be introduced to different communities, different services. I did like educating people about health services and how to become a more healthy community and health screenings. Even though I didn't grow up on a farm, in high school, I worked in green tobacco in the summer. I did a little housekeeping and some sewing. When I came here, it was very difficult for me to get a job. They had agencies where you would go and you would pay them a fee, they'd find you a job. So I did a few days of that. And then I got a job at Mount Sinai in their dietary department because I wanted to make enough money to go to nursing school. Also, I worked with my father-in-law who had a restaurant. I was kind of a short order cook. After I graduated, I worked at Metropolitan Hospital. And the last few years of my work life, I worked at Lincoln Hospital. City hospitals didn't have a good reputation when I started. But I went to a city school. I went to Bronx Community College. And I had a desire to stay within the city. And I felt that poor people, because that's basically who was going to city hospitals at that time, needed good nursing care too. So I stayed within that system until I retired. I went to Bronx Community College, even though I thought I was saving enough money to go. I realized once I got started, because at that time, during that time, I had my second child.
Okay.
Which means I had to pay a babysitter, and it's interesting because Mr. Allen, James Allen's wife, was my babysitter, and he didn't want me to pay her. So I said, well, if I can't, it wasn't big pay. I can't have her keeping her all day for free. So
Right.
either I have to give her something, or I have to quit school. So that, of course, what little bit I could give, it was okay. And I didn't take into consideration that kind of thing and also getting there, but during that time, a benefactor gave some of my transportation, but then, of course, you had the fees, and
Right.
because tuition was free. But it's still in those 3 years that I worked, I didn't accumulate enough money that I could say, oh, I don't have to worry about anything because my schooling is taken
Right.
care of.
But you made it.
Praise the Lord.
Wow. Yeah.
You know, it's, you know, we're just telling the basic stories, but she's one of the finest nurses in New York City, anywhere.
I knew growing up in Jim Crow South, the only professions that I was aware of basically was teaching. We had 2 nurses in my hometown, and the only time that you got to see the nurse if you got sick, because being poor, there was no preventive medicine and periodic examinations. So I'd say nursing is a calling. And it's interesting because my mother had bought me for Christmas a little nursing kit. That's basically my first indication of nursing as a profession. And I've just always wanted to be a nurse. So praise the Lord, he made that possible.
You found a way, made a way.
Yes, he did. He did. It's interesting because most people say I don't smile.
Those people don't see her.
Oh, sometimes just being around people, people that you enjoy being around, being in situations where I'm introduced to new ideas, new things. And sometimes I just feel good. I just feel joy. Even remembering the Bible, there's certain things that will stand out to me. And sometimes I walk around my house and I just praise the Lord and smile.
Mm-hmm.